guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. The guys are about to go live. Get ready for the main event podcast. The guys are about to go live. Get ready. All right, Monday morning. Well, Monday afternoon, I guess. Noon, 12:01 p.m., roughly. Phoenix time. Of course, 2 p.m. Chicago time. 1 p.m. Chicago time. 2 p.m. Eastern time. 11 a.m. for all my friends in California. Time change has us all confused. How weird is that, by the way? Is there anything more annoying? I've said it before. I'll say it again. Is there anything more annoying than waking up on a Sunday morning and then remembering that, you don't have to get up at 9:30 to watch the 10 o'clock games? Is there anything more annoying? My favorite part about it is so I was at the racetrack Saturday night. I didn't get home till like 12:31 in the morning, like usual. And, tend to sleep in when you do that because I got to get home. I got to let the dog out, do all that good stuff, So I did all that. So I didn't fall asleep till like 2 or so. I get to sleep in a little bit. Normally I have to wake up because I have to, set my, fantasy lineups, make sure people are playing that I have set, things like that. I slept in a little bit. I don't think I got up till like 9:30 or so on Sunday then. Of course, I do the nap thing. Mikkel, I did it yesterday. I'm not going to lie to anybody. Nap time. So, Lots of news. I went round and round on where I want to start at today because you got college football. We got Pac-12 starting this weekend. We're going to go into those Pac-12 games coming up on Thursday, Wednesday night on the radio show, possibly Thursday. We'll get into it some more. USC or ASU, big game this weekend for both schools coming up. Of course, we got that coming up. We're going to talk about last weekend because some upsets again. And then I know we've talked about it the last couple of weeks, but me and Mikkel got together and we decided this weekend we're going to start doing our picks for the next month or so. Just have some fun with some college football picks. I don't know if Adam's going to join us yet. He supposedly has a new phone now, but I haven't heard from him, so we'll see when he responds. He's been working a lot, getting over that sickness, whatever other issues going on. Of course, tons of news in the NFL yesterday that we'll go through. Just for those of you watching on here, that I will be on the Blender again today from 3 to, I think we go till, with the time change, I think we go to 5:30 tonight. So off a little bit early, but it's not the normal 4:30 with the time change. Filling in until they find somebody else to take that spot. So I'll be on it probably, I imagine, definitely today, and then I imagine a couple more days maybe. Maybe they'll find somebody, or worst case, I'll be on all week. But anyway, that's why I'm on at noon instead of my normal 1 o'clock here on Monday. But let's get into this here. Let's start the show off. Get this out of the way, right, with NASCAR. So the Final Four has been set. I'll have my predictions for championship weekend this weekend, probably Wednesday or Thursday. I'll announce that, either radio show or here on Thursday. But the championship four is set. The NASCAR world, all the Twitterverse, which if you've ever followed NASCAR Twitter, it's amazing to watch. They are kind of interesting and psychotic about the way they do it. A lot of name calling going on in NASCAR Twitter. NASCAR world. People don't like drivers. People don't like NASCAR handling stuff. But they're all fighting over whether they get rid of the playoffs or not, because the best guy in the regular season didn't make the championship four. Of course, I'm talking about Kevin Harvick, who dominated the regular season, had 9 wins, but he doesn't qualify for the Final Four. He didn't get enough points. He didn't win one of these last 3 races. Quite frankly, his team has been garbage for the last couple months. No good at all. And he misses the Final Four cut, right? And everybody's up in arms because how can the best guy in regular season? So, it's a big deal to them. But here's my question. Here's what I don't get, right? Is in a lot of sports, the best teams don't make the finals. It happens all the time. The best regular season team doesn't make the final. Happens all the time in sports, right? NCAA tournament, it happens. I'm trying to think of another. I mean, NFL, the best regular season team doesn't always make the Super Bowl. They get knocked out there. Hockey, certainly. Last year, Tampa Bay got knocked out in the first round. They dominated the regular season, got knocked out in the first round, swept in the first round, no less. So I don't understand what all this uproar is with NASCAR people that Kevin Harvick doesn't make the Final Four. He had an opportunity to drive into it. Matter of fact, with all of his regular season wins, he had the most points to qualify. He had the easiest way to get there and still didn't do it. So I don't understand what all this is here. But here's a stat right here, right? Playoffs have been going on for what, 15 years, 16 years, something like that? Most wins in a single season without winning the title since 1985. Bill Elliott had 11. Jeff Gordon, 10. Rusty Wallace, 10. That has nothing to do with the playoffs, right? I mean, for the most part. Just, you got to still drive when the playoffs come along, and you still have to get there. And Kevin Harvick didn't do it. But everybody's flipping out in the NASCAR world about this. I just don't get it. I kind of, love NASCAR. I love watching NASCAR. For those of you that follow me, I'm not the biggest racing fan on the planet by any stretch, but I follow it because it's fun. It's exciting. I like the business side of it. I like the mechanic side on how you pit stops. I like that side of it. How do you do pit stops? The strategy of it all. That's what I like, right? I don't drivers, whatever. Get behind the wheel and drive. It's when you pit, when you change out your tires, stuff like that. I'm fascinated by how that works, and if it works out in the season, or if it doesn't work out in the season. Same thing on the dirt track. How are you set up? What are you expecting? Like Saturday night, I talked to a lot of drivers. We did a trunk or treat. I talked to a lot of the ASCS sprint car drivers during that trunk or treat. Just asked them, hey, what are you guys thinking about going into this? And I got varying answers, right? And the guy that ended up winning it, was the guy that was the least sure on what he was going to do when he was out there. Kept kind of an open mind and just went out there and won it, right? Dennis Guile went out there and just dominated. And I was fascinated by that because he was the one that was least sure on what he was going to do once he started racing. He was confident in his motor. He was confident in his race car. And he got out there, see what happens, and he was able to fluctuate and do it. So same thing in NASCAR, right? You got to go out there and you got to win. Final four, you got to win. Obviously, you see the stat. It's true in NASCAR like it is in most sports. This year, of course, in the NBA, best team did make it and win, right? Lakers. They were the best team throughout the regular season. They made it and they won. Hockey, best team in the hockey was Tampa Bay Rays most of the season. Guess what? They went along and they won the finals. Major League Baseball, the Dodgers were the best team in the Major League Baseball by a lot this year. They went on and won the World Series. So this year, it just so happens it's fallen that way. But, how many times, like last year, right? The Ravens were one of the best teams in football. They didn't even make it out of the second round, the conference round. Of course, they didn't play wild card weekend. It happens all the time. The Cardinals made a Super Bowl back in what was that, 2008? Well, they won their division, but they were the worst. They were worse than the wild card teams. They were worse than the Atlanta team that they played in that wild card round. They were worse schedule-wise and playoff-wise than the Eagles that they beat in the NFC Championship there. Best teams don't always win. Best teams don't always qualify. But man, is NASCAR Twitter, NASCAR social media is just fired up today about all of this stuff. I don't get it. NASCAR Twitter needs to settle down. But we got the championship set, right? We'll go over the picks on Wednesday or Thursday because obviously me and Adam made our picks on who would make it. I had Kevin Harvick winning the whole thing. I thought he learned last year. He made it to the Final Four. Huge mistake in the championship round. Got knocked out. Didn't win it. Of course, Kyle Busch won it last year, I do believe, if I remember correctly. Last year feels like a million years ago, right? In 2020 years. We'll just call it a 2020 year where everything feels a million years old. But in this Final Four, you got Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, because Chase Elliott won yesterday at Martinsville, Brad Keselowski, and Denny Hamlin all made it. Last year, you had 3 out of the 4 racers with Joe Gibbs racing cars. This year, 2 of them are Fords. One's a Chevy. And, of course, Denny Hamlin is a Joe Gibbs, so he's a Toyota. All right. I'll have my prediction here coming up here. I mean, right now, where I'm sitting right now without looking into it, seeing who runs better in Phoenix, things like that, I think Denny Hamlin's going to win this thing. Right now, just sitting here. Just off the top of my head. Package, the track, Phoenix track. It's obviously at Phoenix Raceway here this weekend coming up, right? I wouldn't be surprised if Joey Logano wins it. He won here back in March. And all race long, I was sitting there with an old counterpart from the radio station. I was sitting in the media center, and we were talking. I said, Joey Logano wasn't up in the front all night, day long. I was like, don't sleep on Joey Logano. He's going to come back and win this thing. He's going to come back and be a competitor at the end. Sure enough, he came back at the end and won it. It was fantastic to see my prediction come true because I don't always predict right. So, like I said, I wouldn't be shocked if Logano wins it. Like I said, that was just my preliminary, who's going to win it. It's not my official pick. I'll have that out, like I said, Wednesday or Thursday. We'll see if we'll do it on the radio show, but definitely I'll touch on it on Thursday's show as we go. Championship odds are out, obviously, because, gambling. It's what we do. And here's the thing, right? Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin are both favored. Same odds, plus 235. This, of course, is odds from the actionnetwork.com. Action Network, if you follow that at all, so just the place I went to look at the odds. I'm sure there's other places. I don't care. As you guys know, I'm not a big gambling guy. I was just curious on the odds on what's going to come up here, right? But Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, as I said, plus 235. Joey Logano, plus 265. So he's basically right there. Brad Keselowski, plus 280. That surprises me. I think Keselowski's going to put on a better show than you think he's going to. Here's the deal, right? Brad Keselowski, according to Phoenix. And of course, this is how, the championship four have performed at Phoenix, as well as New Hampshire and Richmond, which are very similar tracks to Phoenix, right? For those of you in the know, Brett Keselowski has 2 wins. Joey Logano has 1 win. Chase Elliott 0. Denny Hamlin 0. Here's even better. Average finishes for these guys. Brad Keselowski, 4th place, 4.3, we'll say. Joey Logano, 2.7. Chase Elliott, 7. Denny Hamlin, 11.3. And they have Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin at best odds to win this weekend. And they don't run well on these tracks compared to the other two going by these stats. Fascinated by that, right? I mean, Keselowski looks good sometimes on these tracks. I've seen him run really well on these tracks, on Phoenix, a lot. He did finish 11th in Phoenix in March, but he was fast. He had the 2nd most laps led back in March. He had the 3rd most fast laps. This is a question mark who's going to win this. Like I said, initial gut reaction is just Hamlin, just because of his car, the speed, the way they test here, the way they run here, the whole Joe Gibbs crew. They like it out here out west. But we'll see. I'll have my official pick coming up at the end there. And, of course, we'll review the stats and the picks that we had going into this earlier, where I'm sure I made like the worst picks ever to get here. Of course, I had Hamlin in the final 4. I'm sorry, I had Harvick in the final 4 and winning it. So I know I'm already out on the winner side. Hey, things happen, right? When you're guessing. So we'll have more on that. Of course, this weekend was really, it was a good race in Martinsville. Competitive. Guys were going for it. Big wreck at the end to actually knock Harvick out. He went and spun Kyle Busch and ended up hurting himself and getting knocked out of the race. He spun Kyle Busch at the checkered flag. So, they wasn't able to move on at all and go that route. But it was a good race this weekend. I mean, nice. I like these types of races here. I like Martinsville. It's a short, it's an oval. Banking is ridiculous when you see him going to those corners. A lot of brakes going into those corners. I mean, Chase Elliott did a good job at tire wear. You get down to that nitty gritty stuff if you're a NASCAR fan. And, you can see just how the pit strategies with the tires came into play on there with Chase Elliott. His fresh tires really got him out there to get in there and all that good stuff. So I'm excited. We'll see what happens this weekend. I mean, it's noon on Sunday is the Cup race. Of course, Xfinity is Saturday. Noon on Sunday. Oh, I'm sorry, 1 p.m. on Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern. I forget about the time change because I live in Arizona and we don't change. So 1 p.m. I decided this weekend, it's an off weekend. Saturday night, I actually do have an event I probably have to attend for the production company, Gestalt Production, of course. Check that out. Subscribe to the YouTube page. You'll get the Cardinals Rewind podcast on there, as well as racing videos. And then the new project that's coming out. Hopefully, we'll have our first one out here. We've been doing some nature drone videos and stuff. Show you the beauty of Arizona so far. Actually, and Salt Lake. I do have a nice one of Salt Lake I'm going to be putting out. So definitely subscribe to the Gestalt Production YouTube page. And at least follow Gestalt Production on Facebook to get notified when videos are posted. Of course, at the main event pod here as well. Since you're on a subscribing trend here as you go. So we'll see what happens this weekend in NASCAR. But enough of NASCAR. Enough of car racing. So much happened in the world of sports, in the world of football this weekend, right? That just so much went on. Let's get into it. Let me grab my logo here. Of course, I'm producing myself here. College football happened this weekend, obviously, right? College football has been an interesting thing this year. I don't know who they're putting into these playoffs. It's just amazing what's going on here. In terms of, college football. Penn State isn't the team we thought they would be, and we hope they would be by any stretch. Clemson went into the game against BC without Trevor Lawrence. Got the COVID. So he was out for the weekend. And he goes. So let's talk about that first before we get into the weekend scores. Trevor Lawrence did miss Saturday's game against Boston College. Clemson did win the game, but that first half was, that was close. BC kept it close. Clemson's defense was the problem in the first half, not the freshman quarterback that was taking Trevor Lawrence's place. I don't even know his name. I know I'm doing a disservice to him, but I don't even know his name. Doesn't matter. Trevor Lawrence is the man there right now, and we'll see when they go through. Here's the other thing that came out in the middle of that game. I saw it Saturday night at the racetrack because I was like, how is Trevor Lawrence going to play against Notre Dame a week from now when he has to sit out 10 days from when he showed positive? No practice during the week. How's he going to travel to Notre Dame on top of it when he's supposed to be quarantined? He can't even think about coming back till he has no symptoms, and he had mild symptoms. And it came out in the middle of that game. I saw it Saturday night. He's out against Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a big game this weekend for them. Doesn't really mean anything. I mean, even if Clemson loses this game at Notre Dame this weekend, and we'll talk about this more on Thursday and probably Wednesday night. But even if they lose the game this weekend, they have to play the number one team, or either it's 1 versus 2 will play in the ACC. Clemson's going to be in the top 2 at some point. So they're going to have to do a rematch anyway if Notre Dame continues to win out. So it's not the end of the world. So he's going to miss that game. I personally think Clemson will be all right because Notre Dame's defense is not good. But we'll see. I mean, true freshman quarterback in there, you never know what's going to happen. But I mean, there's other fallout to Lawrence missing Saturday's game and this Saturday's game as well. According to Vegas, on the voting odds at least, Trevor Lawrence is no longer the Heisman Trophy favorite. He's been the favorite all along since last year. He's the favorite all along this year. Here's the interesting thing I thought, right? I thought Justin Fields from Ohio State would move up into that first spot. Turns out that's not the case. Alabama quarterback Mac Jones moved into the role of Heisman Trophy favorites. This is according to DraftKings, by the way. Not even Vegas. I said Vegas, but whatever. And then Justin Fields is second now. Jones and Fields are co-favorites on FanDuel Sportsbook. And Mac Jones from Alabama is the favorite according to DraftKings. Justin Fields second. Trevor Lawrence, the odds-on favorite to win the award for much of the season. Of course, tested positive last week, and he missed the game against Boston College, and he's out this week against Notre Dame. He's now listed at 2-1 odds to win the Heisman. I'm not a Heisman Trophy fan. I think it's an outdated award. I think it needs to go away. I think it's a waste of everybody's time, to be honest with you. I get the prestige of it. I get the history of it. But it does nothing for me. It doesn't move me. If you're a Heisman Trophy winner, good for you. If you're not, good for you. I could care less either way. But just interesting how he misses the game and he goes, right? I've been hyping on this BYU bandwagon, how good they are. But they play nobody right now. They're playing absolutely nobody. But BYU quarterback Zach Wilson is 30-1 odds to win it. Just keeping my deal. Just keeping my BYU whatever going there for BYU, of course, as we go through. Other news in college football before we get to the updated polls here from this weekend in the games. SEC did reprimand Florida Gators head coach for the brawl. Dan Mullen, of course, is their head coach. Big brawl this weekend against Missouri. Huge brawl. Dan Mullen was fined $25,000 and issued a reprimand for violating SEC bylaws governing sportsmanship after a brawl erupted during Saturday's game against Missouri. If you didn't see that, actually, you know what? I didn't pull that video. Let me pull that video real quick. Nothing like doing production on the air, right? I got an NFL video that we're going to break down and just make so much fun of today. Of course, you guys know the Bears deal, right? That I'm probably going to make fun of. You guys can probably predict that by the longest stretch, But I don't get this whole the brawl thing in Florida and things like that. Let me see. You know what? I could just do. Let me just take. Here we go. I'm just going to take. It's a minute 54, so we probably won't watch the whole thing. So let me take. I don't understand. It started with Florida's quarterback drops back at the end of the half, throws the ball. I don't think it was that bad of a hit. Let's watch it again. Maybe I missed it earlier. I don't know. Maybe I misunderstood how bad it was. I don't know. I didn't think it was that bad. So let's go ahead and watch this play here real quick. I got it here. I'm just going to do it through the web browser. Since I didn't download it, I wasn't going to talk about it, but since I just brought it up and it just came out that Dan Mullins did get fined, it's kind of relevant to what we're doing. Let's take a look at it here. I might not play the whole minute 54, but take a look at it definitely. If you did not see this from Saturday, let's go.
Trask steps up, launches toward Pitts, double teamed and knocked away. A little bit of a skirmish near the line of scrimmage, and everybody gets in there and says, come on now. Well, we got some tempers flaring over there. I believe that was Coach Mullen, and now this is starting to get a little bit out of hand.
Yeah, Florida needs to get out of here. They got a big game next week against Georgia, and I think that's what Dan Mullen was trying to do, is prevent any one of his players from doing something stupid. This is getting ugly. There's punches being thrown.
Yeah, that's getting beyond ugly. That's another one thrown.
Zachary Carter in there for Florida.
Oh,
this is getting bad. I mean, there's going to be some severe ejections. This is absolutely the last thing that Dan Mullen wanted for his ball club going into the cocktail party next week.
Going. We're a minute into this.
They are having a whole lot of problems trying to break this up. And something happened after that play that incited Dan Mullen and the Gator squad. And this is Trask on the pass.
I don't get this.
And oh my.
I do. I get it now. That was a little.
Now you got Dan Mullen and Eli Drinkwitz going at it.
Well, I mean, these are two head coaches I can promise you will not back down. Now, that's a good sign. I like to see that. Little handshake, little discussion. Going to talk things over.
Seeing that replay there, I get it now. I mean, the guy took several steps before he hit him, of course. Does it equate to a giant brawl? I don't think so. It's kind of ridiculous. That was kind of stupid. But Dan Mullins has been fined now, so good for him, right? Okay. But, excitement in college football. Here's my favorite part of this one, right? We already talked about it. Clemson's facing Notre Dame this weekend. We'll talk more about that as the week goes on, as I read more into that game. I'm excited for this game. One is because I don't think Notre Dame's as good as they think they are. As everybody thinks they are. Something off with Notre Dame. There's just something clicking wrong with them. I don't like it. But this also worries me a little bit also, right? You have the backup quarterback coming in for Clemson, the freshman quarterback. And his name is DJ Uiagalelei. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, brother. I don't know how to say your name, man. Guy works his butt off to start college football and, gets there at Clemson, start the game, and I can't pronounce his name. So I apologize, brother. But Notre Dame coach Brian Kelly comes out today, and he says, this game, quote, this game, it's not the end all for us. We could win this game, but you could lose to Boston College next week, and that doesn't mean anything. We're still in pursuit of a conference championship. Of course, Notre Dame, those of you who don't remember, joined the ACC this year in order to be in a conference and be able to play teams. Otherwise, as an independent, they would have had a hard time finding people to play. And then it says, quote, it's about consistency and performance, which we're well on our way to checking that box. We've shown an incredible consistency as a football team of winning week in and week out. Look, you want to win these games? There's no doubt. But we can't be overly emotional about this football game and lose sight of the fact that we've got 5 more games to play. I don't like this talk by Brian Kelly. I don't like this at all. I understand this next line. I don't like that whole conversation. That's setting you up saying, hey, we lose, we're fine. We need to go out there and win this game, but we need to keep fighting. and we need to keep playing and everything, but we need to win this game. That's what you need to say. You don't need to say, oh, if we win this one but then lose the next week, it doesn't matter. Nah, you don't talk like that. What? Who talks like that? Well, first of all, I talk like that, but I'm not a head coach of a football team, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But I do agree with this remaining part of the quote. Quote, we can't empty the tank and say, hey, we've beat Clemson, we've arrived, unquote. He's right, absolutely right on that. I don't want to hear that talk, though. Coach, Brian Kelly. Notre Dame. How much is Notre Dame going to get blown out by this weekend? All my picks this weekend. It's going to be one of the games me and Mikkel picked this weekend. Absolutely. But I don't like that talk by a head coach, especially on a Monday. I feel like you're just setting your team up for, we win, we lose. Whatever. Of course, the fourth-ranked Irish do face top-ranked Clemson for the first time since the college football playoffs in 2018. Of course, Clemson won that one 30-3. Yeah, I don't like that conversation at all. I was just trying to choose my words carefully there. That's why I paused for a minute, right? It's like, okay. So let's get here, right? Here's the other thing that kind of bothers me about college football. I get it. You need something to talk about, ESPN, right? And they do the conference rankings. Here's how the hierarchy of each conference sits through the 9 weeks of the season, right? Who do you think ESPN has number one? And they don't look good at all. But it's the SEC, of course. Everything SEC for them. SEC does not look great. Not at all. Right? I mean, Georgia won. Florida won. They have Alabama 1, Georgia 2, Texas A&M 3, Florida 4, Auburn 5, Arkansas 6, Missouri 7, LSU 8. Yeah, LSU. Woo! That fall from grace is a long, arduous one, right? It hurts when you fall down that ladder with no parachute. Good luck, guys. Woo-wee. They have South Carolina, Ole Miss, Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi State, and then Vanderbilt. But their next conference is the Big Ten. I have a problem with this one. There's only one team in the Big Ten that's any good. That's Ohio State. Wisconsin's not even playing. They sat out this weekend against Nebraska because of COVID. Who knows if they're going to play this weekend? Right? Indiana, I mean, they had a surprise win against Penn State, who turns out isn't very good. They surprised Penn State, right? And they beat Rutgers over the weekend. Who, granted, Rutgers was 1-0 against Michigan State. But really, Indiana's ranked 3rd in this conference, and you're calling this a powerhouse conference? Penn State's 4. They're 0-2. Then Northwestern. Then Michigan State, who's 1-1. They lost to Rutgers, but they beat Michigan over the weekend. Then Purdue, Michigan, who's way down again. Iowa, Nebraska, Maryland, Rutgers, Minnesota, Illinois. I don't get that. But, I mean, is the Big Ten better than the Big 12? Probably. Because Big 12 has been a mess, right? Oklahoma State lost this weekend. They were the best team in the Big 12 by a lot. And they ended up losing this weekend. But these guys have Oklahoma State ranked 1st, Iowa State 2nd, Oklahoma 3rd, Texas 4th, West Virginia, Kansas State, TCU, Texas Tech, Baylor, and Kansas. I mean, these teams are just atrocious in the Big 12. And Oklahoma State losing this weekend really hurts their chances to be a good conference at all. But is the Big 12 better than the ACC? Because that's how ESPN has it ranked. Just the top 2, Clemson and Notre Dame in the ACC, are better than the Big 12. Any team in the Big 12. And they're ranked below it. And then you could add Miami on there, right? We can add Virginia Tech in there as a good team. North Carolina has only lost 1 game, maybe 2 games now. We'll look that up in a minute. I don't understand how ACC can be ranked far behind, whatever. Of course, I told you guys we keep an eye on BYU. Cincinnati's up there in the rankings. I expect Cincinnati to lose one of these games. I looked at their schedule. But one of these teams, Cincinnati or BYU, could sneak into this playoff. with a getting up there highly ranked enough. But let's get into that real quick here, right? The weekend scores. I know we talked about a bunch of them. Lots of upsets this weekend. I mean, Minnesota, Maryland, two bad teams by a long stretch. 45-44 overtime on Friday night. Of course, Tua, who of course played his first game with the Dolphins this weekend. I believe it's his brother, plays at Maryland. They won a 1-point victory. The Hawaii-Wyoming game was pretty good. Of course, you got Todd Graham, the ex-ASU head coach, out in Hawaii, trying to turn that around. But they got destroyed by Wyoming this weekend. Wasn't even close. I just keep an eye on that because of that. Clemson, as I said, 34, BC 28. BC kept that game close, but that first half was atrocious for Clemson's defense by a long stretch. Hey, welcome to the SEC. Mike Leach. How you doing there, buddy? First game against LSU, you look like a stud. 600-something yards, setting all these records. And passing everything, nothing but L's since. You get destroyed 41-0 against Alabama this weekend. Penn State, Ohio State. Penn State's 18 going into this game. 38-25, Ohio State pulls away. Not a shocker, but Penn State's 0-2. That loss against Indiana hurts. Of course, it's a one-point loss. They got Maryland this weekend. Of course, Penn State does. That should be a win. At Nebraska, should be a win. But the way they're playing, who knows? Iowa, Michigan, Rutgers. I mean, they're going to be okay. They have 2 losses already. They're 0-2 to start off the season. That ain't good. For Penn State, we had higher hopes for them. There's no shame to losing to Ohio State. But putting that on top of the Indiana loss, that's a big loss there for them. Notre Dame beat Georgia Tech 31-13. That's just pointing that out because Notre Dame was 4 going into this with Clemson on the schedule this week. Georgia beat Kentucky 14-3. Georgia's offense has no receivers. They're bad. They're a bad offensive team. Quarterback has no receivers, which was Jake Fromm's problem last year at Georgia as well. Just no receivers to catch the ball, and you saw it there. But the shocker, of course, in the Big 12, Oklahoma State goes in. Best team in the Big 12 by a long shot. And they get to upset in overtime. 41-34, Texas beat Oklahoma State over the weekend. Big 12, atrocious. Just a bad. We're going to see 3 or 4 SEC teams in these playoffs. We might see Clemson, Notre Dame out of the ACC, and then 2 SEC teams. I don't think a Pac-12 is going to get in there just because of the amount of games they're playing. It's not very many. But Big 12 deserves nobody in there. Texas beat Oklahoma State this weekend. Huge upset. Cincinnati continues their tear. We talk about them because they're obviously in the non-Big 5 conference. They get a high enough ranking, which they're 7 now. They're going to get there if they keep winning. And the teams above them keep losing. The other shocker this weekend, 13-ranked Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, East Lansing. You got Michigan State. Of course, they're playing at home in the big house at Michigan. But Michigan State does go into Michigan. 13th ranked Michigan. Michigan State just lost to Rutgers last week. New head coach. A lot of new players, new systems, all that fun stuff. 27-24, Michigan State beats Michigan. Jim Harbaugh, I mean, he's a good coach. He wins. He's like something like 49-16 at Michigan. Problem is he can't beat ranked teams. And he always loses the game like this one where Michigan State's not a good team. And he goes in and they come in the house and they lose. Something about that. I don't know what it is. But something happens with them. North Carolina continues their win. 44. I'm sorry. They did not. Virginia beat North Carolina. I was pretty sure North Carolina lost this weekend. They're ranked 15th. I was pretty sure they lost this weekend. They've had 2 bad losses, North Carolina. They lost to Florida State. Now they've lost to Virginia. Of course, this one was 44-41. Lost to Virginia. North Carolina can put up some points. Of course, that's Mac Brown, the ex-Texas coach. He's got 2 bad losses on his resume this year. Indiana Rutgers. The only reason I'm bringing this one up is because both teams were 1-0 going into this game. Indiana was ranked 17 after that surprise win over Penn State. They moved up there. They go on to win 37-21, puts Rutgers back to where we thought they would be with Greg Schiano there. But Indiana tears that one away. Is Indiana this good? We don't know. We have no idea till we get on in the season here and see what happens. Coastal Carolina, who some people have them in the championship in the Final Four, ranked 20th. 51-0 against Georgia State. Okay, good for you. Right? Oklahoma beat Texas Tech 62-28. Oklahoma's ranked 24 again until they come back. Of course, this weekend, like I said, some Pac-12 games, which we're going to get into at the end of this week here. So come on back. Like I said, Wednesday night on the radio show, and definitely Thursday. We'll talk more about it. Delve into it a little bit more. But that's pretty much how the weekend went in college football. Northwestern did beat Iowa this weekend. Chicago's 21-20 win. Northwestern's 2-0. It looks like they're back this year after an off year last year where they were bad last year. Bad. But they're back again. So doing as well as they can. So that's college football today. Let's just make sure there's no more breaking news in college football before we move on to the NFL. Of course, if I can figure out how to refresh my screen. It's like my first time on the internet or something. I don't understand it. LSU's Ed Edgeron on Bama game. Let's see here. The LSU has a bye week this week, by the way, which they need because they're atrocious. But their next game is November 14th against against number 2 Alabama, who will be number 1 by then. Because even if Clemson beats Notre Dame this weekend, I think with this freshman quarterback, I think Clemson will falter and Alabama will go ahead of them. But he says, quote, Edgeron says, quote, "We've got to fix us first," unquote, he said. They, of course, were blown out. I didn't talk about this one. They were blown out by Auburn, 48-11 on Saturday. They are 2-3, and Auburn is an up-and-down team, but losing that badly and LSU is not good. Not good at all. You got a lot to fix there, Coach O. Defense is atrocious there. They're giving up 33.6 points per game. I don't know. They keep saying they want to simplify that defense. The team still is atrocious, so I don't know what you want to do there, right? Again, like I said, Pac-12, ASU, USC is going to be my focus this weekend, but all the teams play. We'll break that down, like I said, Wednesday and Thursday. So when we get onto that with college football coming up here. So let's get into it. Good weekend. I have some making fun of a certain team this weekend in terms of the football. Fantastic weekend. College football, fantastic weekend in the NFL. Some great games, of course. And let's get into this first. We'll talk about the games later as we go. For those of you that didn't see it, you've got Bears and the Saints were playing each other. Kind of a dogfight kind of a game, no pun intended here, if you know what I'm talking about. Saints go out there, they're going at each other. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, it's earlier in the game, if you don't know the whole backstory, pulls the mouthpiece off of Javon Mims, face mask, throws it on the ground. They're kind of going at it the whole time. Next time, the Bears go on offense. This happened. So let's watch this real quick here.
I'm not so sure. This happened well after the play. It's over. The play's over. Whoa. I don't even know what that was about. Don't look at that.
So, as you can see, this goes over, punches him. And my favorite part about this, I have so many favorite parts about this. It's about a mouthpiece, right? So he walks over to him, tells him, hey, pulls his mouth guard, and then hits him. Then 22 just stands there. And then look at that. 20 jumps on his back. Other people come over. And I don't have this cut here. But then the Bears players are yelling at Mims to get off the field. They're so pissed that he did that. It's just uncalled for. It's just ridiculous. You look like a clown, Mims. You look like an absolute clown. And then he says he spit on him. There's no way that Gardner Johnson spit on him in this situation after he hits him, before he hits him. He takes the mouth guard. There's no way he spit. There's no time for spit to come out right there. He doesn't even know what's going on. He's just staring at him. But the Bears players basically tell Mims, get off the field. Kick him off the field. I don't have that clip there. It's just an absolute joke. This is what the Bears are. I love this stuff. So first of all, he sits there and he takes the first hit. Like doesn't even flinch, right? Just sits there and takes it. And then nothing else happens really bad. And I mean, this is the stupidest thing you've ever seen on a football field. You take him out during the play, hit him hard while you're blocking him. When he's coming across the middle, step in front of him and hit him, something like that. But to do this is just absolutely ridiculous. You look so stupid. The Bears do. Not just the Bears, but this player, but the whole Bears organization looks stupid today. Of course, this was the third quarter. I mean, you have your helmet on, first of all, and you hit him twice. They're open-handed hits, but my favorite part is after the game. I just love this. You already look like an idiot. Mims is walking around. I wish I would have got that clips for you guys. He's walking around afterwards, like acting all tough, and his lineman, 74 of the Bears, was telling him to get off the field. Other players were telling him to get off the field. Like, get off the field, dude. Your own players are laughing at you. Then after the game, Gardner Johnson responded via Instagram, quote, "That man punched like a female." Oh, dear God. Just add insult to injury. He sat there and took the hit. And I just loved it. Loved it. Like, how more insulted can you be if you're Mims hitting him like that? Just absolutely stupid. So, guys, I know we do the hot seat, right? We talk about it. I'm going to sit down and do a formal list here now that we're so far into the season. But this one I'm going to address just because I'm going to do that this week. But here's this one. Matt Nagy, as you guys know, I've been on the Matt Nagy needs to go bandwagon because Mitch Trubisky has his problems. But you could see the offense was a problem all around, right? And I kind of moved Matt Nagy back to a warm seat this year because they started the season so well. What was it, 5-1? And they've lost now a couple more. I said they're going to get to 10 games. They can win 10 games this year. I mean, losing to the Saints isn't a bad thing. Saints are a really good team, but they can still get to 10 wins, guys. This is winnable. They have the Vikings coming up, which Vikings looked phenomenal yesterday. But they can get to 10 wins, and then Nagy's off the hot seat because you're not going to get rid of him if he wins 10, 11, 12 games. But I've moved him from my warm seat to extremely hot seat, and here's why. They've done a QB change, right? Nagy took all the heat for not being the guy on there. The offense has gotten worse after the quarterback change. Nick Foles is what Nick Foles is, but he's no dummy out there. He can run an offense. The play calling is atrocious. Nagy and the coaching staff had a staff meeting and decided play calling wasn't the reason the offense is struggling. So Nagy continues to be the play caller because his own people told him that he wasn't the problem. Play calling is the problem. Play calling is atrocious on this team. It is bad. His play calling is getting worse and worse. That 4th and 1 yesterday was bad. Absolutely horrendous. A sweep play on 4th and 1. Need 1 yard. You take a 4-yard loss or whatever it was. Just garbage. Just garbage by the Bears offensive team. Garbage play call. Garbage execution. Garbage everything. Now you got players picking fights over a mouth guard on the field. They have no respect whatsoever for this head coach. This is lawlessness. And this is a team that's 5 and whatever on the season. They have a winning record. And they're falling apart right for our eyes. Nagy says, quote, "We aren't like that here about Mims fighting like that. But, Coach, you are like this. Do you see any other team having this discipline problem in the league? Have you ever seen another disciplinary problem like this in the recent years? Ever? No, you haven't. Matt Nagy has no control over this team. Matt Nagy has no control of this offense. He doesn't know what he's doing on play calling. They need to get those duties off of him immediately. Team has gotten worse after Trubisky. Trubisky was the bread keeping that sandwich together, so to speak, on offense. It's bad. Matt Nagy is on my extremely hot seat. If I was ownership for the Bears for today, forget about how last year when I put him on the hot seat when he was blaming his players after a bad loss late in the season and all of that. The Bears have been plagued by costly mistakes, communication issues, and inconsistent play, mainly on offense. Yesterday, the defense let them down a little bit too. They have a Super Bowl caliber, at least a second round playoff berth caliber defense. But their offense is so bad. And that's on the head coach. Head coach is the offensive play caller, an offensive guru. He doesn't know what he's doing. Of course, they lost 26-23 yesterday to the Saints in overtime. The Bears had a 13-3 lead against the Saints. Then they fell behind 23-13. They came back to tie it 23-23. Costly penalties, drop passes all over the place on the field for the Bears receivers. They hit them right in the hands when they drop them. Coach Matt Nagy says, quote, "There are issues there. That's what bothers me and what ticks me off is that there's an issue still going on," unquote. Who's the guy that's supposed to stop these? Who's the head coach that's supposed to stop these things from happening? Who's the head coach that game plans every week and practices every week? And he says it again. There's issues. It ticks me off that there are issues still going on. He can't stop it. He doesn't know how to stop it. He doesn't know what he's doing. Here's my favorite part. Nagy was especially perturbed with what occurred early in the second half. Leading 13-10, the Bears drew a delay of game on 3rd and 4. Quarterback Nick Foles was sacked for a 9-yard loss on 3rd and 9. And Cordell Patterson was flagged for a false start while lining up for the punt. That doesn't happen on good teams, on good coached teams, guys. Then on the next, then the Saints, they punt the ball to the Saints. After all of that, 42-yard punt return by Harris from the Saints to the Bears 16. That sets up a game-tying 27-yard field goal for the Saints. Game's tied 13-13. Game's tied 13-13. You have all those penalties in a row. Saints get the ball back, go down, kick a field goal. Also on that drive where all those penalties is the drive where the mouthpiece was taken out of the Bears Mims face mask and everything. So then he's on the sideline just stewing, right? So on the first play, tie ball game, first play on the Bears' next drive, 5-yard passes completed to Allen Robinson. And Wims goes over and does that fight I've already showed you. 15-yard penalty, ejected from the game. Nagy says, quote, "When you have somebody throwing punches, when you have things that are going on right now with us on offense, and you're just trying to get things going, guys are fighting. They're sticking together. But then you have that happen. It takes away everything that you work hard to get to and fight for. And what bothers me is we've got a lot of good guys that are doing things the right way, and then it just takes it away," unquote. I'm going to say this again. Name another team where a receiver, after a play, goes over and just starts wailing on a guy's helmet on the other team. It doesn't happen. I'm not saying it's never happened, but it doesn't happen. Matt Nagy has lost all control. It's just bad. Bad. This is my favorite part. Foles then gets intercepted by Lattimore on the next play following the Wims ejection. Then New Orleans goes down and kicks a 39-yard field goal to make it in a 16-13 lead. Bears defense is keeping the Saints to field goals. And the offense is going out there and getting penalties left and right. Stupid penalties, offside, false starts, delay of games, fighting. And the Saints are just kicking field goals to get this lead. And this is what Nagy says. Quote, "It's brutal. You go from 2nd and 5 to 2nd and 20. That's hard. What I don't like is you come out, it's a tie game, and you have an opportunity to do some things, and we go the other way. I felt like it took the sting out, the fire for a little bit. We had to regroup. The defense, at least in that situation with the field position, was able to hold them and not let them score touchdowns. But we had to regroup offensively on the sideline and just let these guys know, let's go. Let's get on track and get out of that. That's kind of where we were with that," unquote. Well, gee, coach, we'll stop doing all this stuff just because you say so. Because you come over and you tell us that we need to, let's go, let's get on track. Okay, coach, we'll get on track for you now. It's just horrible. Obviously, the offense did kind of do a little bit. They scored 10 points in the final 3:32 of regulation, which, of course, forced the overtime. They had a really nice, I will give them credit. They did have a nice 75-yard drive late in that game to get close. I think they were 3 down at that point. But then overtime happened and just more miscues. I don't remember who it was, but somebody made like a 20-yard, 18, 17-yard touchdown reception. And but then I know one of them was Jimmy Graham. I don't remember the other one. But they dropped 2 balls were dropped right after that. Right? But I'm just right. I know I'm picking on Matt Nagy. I know, guys. I know a lot of you Bears fans are coming my way with this and on how bad he is as a head coach. It ain't gonna get better. Here's my favorite quote of the day. How can a coach that has awful play calling, doesn't coach his team properly, where they have mental mistakes where they fight on the field and stuff like that, how does the coach say the following? Oh, I'm sorry. It's even worse than that. I apologize. Wrong quote. But Akeem Hicks, of course, the defense, gave up the field goal. But he says, quote, "But the one thing that I think our defense is built on is standing up. We'll hit some controversy. We'll have a bad play. We're human beings. But when it comes to crunch time, it's not okay to be human. You've got to be different, and we understand that." Well, Akeem Hicks, goes for your coaching staff also. Coaching staff works all week to put in game plans. Hours and hours of putting together play calling and game plan scenarios on the field. And all that's happening is delay of game penalties because you don't get the plays in on time. False start penalties on 4th downs with, wildcat options. Bad play calling. Players just outright fighting other players on the field after play calling, getting kicked out. You're right. You're absolutely right, Akeem Hicks. You will have bad plays. You will mess up occasionally. Y'all are human beings. But the coaching staff sets the standard, and this coaching staff is weak. And they are not disciplined. They don't know what they're doing on their play calling. It's atrocious to watch. And they're letting you down as a defense, Hakeem Hicks. That's my Nagy rant for the day. Keep him on the hot seat. See where he goes after this. It's disappointing. I'm not even a Bears fan. And it's just disappointing. It's my problem with Bill O'Brien and Dan Quinn. As you can see these little mental makeups and the mental problems with these head coaches. I can see it from my couch. They're not going to solve these issues. These issues are not going to be solved. Matt Nagy isn't going to become a better play caller as a Bears head coach. He needs to move on to something else and go. Okay. Enough of that. Stars of the weekend. I mean, Russell Wilson rebounded from his 3 interception night against the Cardinals, 4 passing touchdowns Sundays over the 49ers. He now has 26 passing touchdowns in 2020. It's outrageous. DK Metcalf rebounded from his horrible outing on Monday Night Football with 2 catches. On Sunday Night Football last week against the Cardinals. He had 12 receptions, 161 receiving yards. And 2 touchdowns, of course, over the 49ers. Dalvin Cook for the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings sighting, everybody. 226 scrimmage yards and 4 scrimmage touchdowns. Vikings beat the Packers on Sunday. Packers got off so hot. Now you're starting to see little, cracks in the armor of the Packers these last few weeks, right? The 2 losses. By the way, Dalvin Cook is the first Viking player with at least 200 scrimmage yards and at least 4 scrimmage touchdowns in a single game. There's a long line of good Vikings running backs. A lot of them. Adrian Peterson, anybody? He's the first one to do that. Joe Burrow upsetted the Titans this weekend. 106.7 passer rating. Fantastic by Burrow. He's completed 221 passes this season, by the way. 31 more than the previous record, which was Andrew Luck, which was 190. And the most completions by any player in their first 8 career games in NFL history. Joe Burrow's a stud. They're not going to win a lot this year, but he's a stud. They shocked those Titans this weekend. I'm going to say the Dolphins' defense is a star this weekend. The Dolphins were outgained by 326 total yards by the Rams on Sunday. The Rams had 471 yards on offense. The Dolphins had 145. If I told you that stat, you would think either the Dolphins lost or it was a close game. Dolphins dominated this game 28-17. Patrick Mahomes had 416 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, of course, 0 interceptions. Of course, it was the Jets. So he had record years against the Jets, but good star of the game for Patrick Mahomes. By the way, that was Andy Reid's 229th career win as an NFL head coach. That includes the playoffs, by the way. I tried to find his non-playoff wins, and I couldn't find it. I couldn't break it down. I feel like that's quiet for Andy Reid. He doesn't get a lot of press for winning anymore. Like when he was with the Eagles, he did. But now with Kansas City, it's just automatic, right? He doesn't get a lot. Phillip Rivers had a game for the Colts this weekend. 3 passing touchdowns. Of course, the Colts 41-21 against the Lions. He's getting some consistency. It's his 2nd consecutive game with at least 3 passing touchdowns. Justin Herbert, this kid's a stud for a rookie. Stud! 278 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Of course, the Chargers did lose to the Broncos on Sunday. Losing effort, as they say. So some stars for this weekend. Here's the question for you, and I wonder about this one. Lamar Jackson. If they would have won that game against the Steelers, I'd give him a star. He didn't play too badly, but he did have 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles lost. I know that's a dichotomy. He kind of was the difference in that game, but he also did some amazing things out there. That's what I mean by if they would have won that game, I probably would still give him a star, even with the 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. Of course, they lost 28-24 to the Steelers. The Ravens just can't get over that hump against better teams, right? That coaching? Or is that the players? I don't know. They just cannot get over the hump. Chiefs, they lose every time. Steelers, they've lost again. The Ravens had 265 rushing yards and outgained the Steelers 457 to 221 in total yards in their loss on Sunday to the Steelers. Just that dichotomy of those winning differences is just amazing, right? The things on that. So NFL standings, we haven't really talked about those too much. Obviously, NFC West. Cardinals had a bye week. They still sit at 5-2. Seahawks beating the Niners takes them to 6-1. 49ers fall to the 4th place in the conference, 4-4. Jimmy Garoppolo goes out again. Mostert came back, was out again. Kittle went out this game. I do have a question. Are the Niners bringing guys back too early? Because they come back and then they get hurt again. Same injuries, no less. Garoppolo's ankle injury again. Are they bringing guys back too early, 49ers? As I said, Garoppolo went out. Kittle went out yesterday again. Same injuries. Mostert came back for a game or two and then out again. Same injuries. So are they bringing guys back too early? Rams fell to 5-3. Don't overlook this Cardinals matchup against the Dolphins this weekend. Dolphins didn't move the ball offensively at all. On offense at all, but that defense was pretty good. Kind of excited. NFC East, the Eagles moved to first place at 3-4-1 with their win over the Cowboys yesterday. Washington football team's 2-5. Cowboys 2-6. Giants 1-6. Packers fall to 5-2. Like I said, their 2 losses have been bad. Bears are 5-3 with their loss. Lions are 3-4. Vikings 2-5 now. NFC South, Saints are in first place by tiebreakers. Buccaneers are right behind them, 5-2. Of course, Buccaneers, I do believe, play tonight. I do believe. Panthers are 3-5. Falcons 2-6. AFC side, AFC East, Bills are winning that division 6-2. Dolphins are 4-3 with that win yesterday with Tua. Patriots, another loss, goes to 2-5. Then the Jets, just fold them. They're awful, 0-8. I'm not saying just fold them because they're bad this year. They're bad every year. Even when they're good, they're bad. Titans still hold on to first place in the AFC South with 5-2, even though they were upset yesterday by the Bengals. Colts are still 5-2 with their win. Texans 1-6. Jaguars 1-6. It's going to come down to a Titans-Colts on who wins this division. AFC North. Steelers in first place, 7-0, of course. Ravens 5-2. Browns 5-3. Of course, Bengals 2-5 with their win yesterday. And then the AFC West, Chiefs 7-1. Raiders 4-3. Broncos 3-4. Chargers 2-5. You can see a lot of top-heavy divisions. There's a couple that are fighters out there. No doubt about that. Trade deadline's coming up tomorrow in the NFL. 2 p.m. Phoenix time, 4 p.m. Eastern. You're already seeing some trades today. The Packers, are they going to get Will Fuller? Are they going to pull that trigger and get Will Fuller? Don't know. Is that Dwayne Haskins going to get traded? Don't know. Stephon Gilmore was on the trading block. They were looking to go him out there. He's selling his house in the Boston area. But now with his knee injury, that's going to complicate it even more. I don't think he's going to get moved. The Falcons apparently aren't going to have a fire sale, even though they should. And then the Saints probably aren't going to trade Michael Thomas, even with what's going on with all that drama. We'll see. So last year, we did a thing where we looked at rookie quarterbacks. Because last year, there was a lot of rookie quarterbacks playing, right? And all of that good stuff. And we kind of got away from that this year. I don't know why. Not as many rookies are playing or anything, so probably why. There's some good ones. Now with Tua starting yesterday, I want to start this up again. Especially with Tua coming to Arizona this week against the Cardinals this weekend. Obviously, it was his first start yesterday for the Dolphins. I mean, they got the win, but it wasn't a good start for Tua. 12 of 22 for 93 yards on offense. Oh, and he fumbled, by the way, on his first drive. I believe it wasn't their first offensive snap, second or third offensive snap. It was early where he fumbled the ball. Aaron Donald just took him out, fumbled the ball. He was sacked just once, though, Tua was. He was able to get out of the pocket. I did like that side of it. But basically, they were all check down throws. They were not downfield. He was just looking for the first guy to throw the ball to. Obviously, the Rams have an awesome pass rush. So that might have been by design yesterday. Be interesting to see coming out in here against the Cardinals. Cardinals are going to be the same way against him. He's going to be able to throw deep because he didn't do it yesterday. He didn't turn the ball over other than that fumble, though. So we'll keep our eyes on Tua, first star. Justin Herbert. Man, this kid is surprising people. Yesterday, he was 29 of 43, 278 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. In the loss they had yesterday.
And Doug.
You know, Limu.
I don't know what that commercial was. Justin Herbert, on the season, he's ranked 20th in terms of yards, tied 7th for touchdown passes, tied 12th for interceptions, 1,820 yards on the season, 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Of course, you know, he didn't start the season. Tyrod Taylor did. He's not winning, but he's putting up good numbers. This kid's going to be a stud. This is a kid to watch. We'll continue to follow him as we go on. But he had a good game even in that loss. I mean, he did have 2 interceptions. But he has a good game even with that loss yesterday. And then Joe Burrow. I mean, crown him. If you're up to me, I'd be crowning him in the Hall of Fame right now. This kid just impresses, right? Obviously, I'm being facetious about the Hall of Fame deal. Yesterday, and his victory, surprise victory against the Titans. He was 26 of 37, 249 yards with 2 touchdowns. Of course, he started all year. He's third in the NFL in yards, 2,227. He's got 11 touchdowns, so not that many. Other than A.J. Green, I don't know who he even has to throw to. 5 interceptions. He did have a couple of really bad games. But yesterday, 31-20 win over the Titans. Take him to 2-5-1. It's just interesting to watch the growth of these guys or the non-growth of these guys as the season goes on. So we're just going to keep an eye on it. Let me know how you think these 3 rookie guys are going in this season. I'm not including Ben DiNucci, Cowboys quarterback, as a guy. No, I don't care if he plays another 6 games. I'm not counting him. Cowboys are awful. Nobody cares. We're not going to follow them. They don't have a future in the league. These 3 guys are starters for years to come unless something bad happens. So that's just what we're sticking with, right? It's what we're going to go with on that. Moving forward. So Sunday, Steelers-Ravens was the game of the weekend. Steelers ended up winning this game, coming back 28-24. What was disappointing was that the Baltimore Ravens had this game won. They were winning this game. is how I should phrase it. They were winning this game. And then Steelers did something on defense to confuse Lamar Jackson left and right. Of course, starting the game off with a pick six for Lamar Jackson isn't the best thing on the planet. But that Pittsburgh defense is stacked. I had both these teams winning something like 11 or 12 games. That's how good I think the Steelers were going to be. TJ Watt is just a stud. Ravens lost Ronnie Stanley yesterday. He just signed a contract extension and they lost him yesterday. Ankle injury, I believe I was reading it was season injury ending. I haven't double checked on that. But the Ravens were up 17-7 at halftime, despite two Lamar Jackson turnovers. And they had the game. They were comfortable. Baltimore was running the ball all over all over the place going into this game. J.K. Dobbins had 113 yards on 15 carries. Gus Edwards, 87 yards and a score on 16 carries. Even Jackson went for 65 yards on 16 carries. But they let Lamar Jackson continue to pass the ball. He looked confused. He didn't know where the ball was going. The interceptions show that. There was no rhythm on the Baltimore passing game, but the running game was dominant, and they insisted on keep passing it. Check out this stat line. Jackson completed 46.4% of 28 attempts, took 4 sacks, threw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and fumbled twice. I mean, Jackson they have to figure out this passing game. Their running game is going to dominate, it looks like, no matter who they play, but they got to get this passing game down. The question I got on the Steelers side is Ben's elbow okay? He kept having issues with it after he fumbled it on that one run. He kept having issues with that elbow. Is he going to be all right? Is he going to be one more shot on that elbow and he's not going to be able to finish the season? Thing to pay attention to there, right? We already talked about Bears Saints, where the Bears offense, left the defense out there to just waddle around. We don't need to talk about that. Steelers Niners. I asked that question earlier. Are the Niners bringing guys back from injury too early? They come back and they get re-injured. Same injuries. I mean, like I said, Tua struggled in this game, was not magnificent, but they got the win. But I will tell you, the Miami defense, Jared Goff had no idea what was coming at any point in time. He looked lost. He looked confused. They did a lot of fake blitzes, delayed blitzes, stunts, and Jared Goff didn't know where it was coming. So I'm interested in this because the Dolphins come and play the Cardinals this weekend. It was fantastic to watch that defense play. We could have a defensive juggernaut of the Dolphins coming into town this weekend. Of course, Miami did have 2 non-offensive touchdowns. That's what I mean by the defense won this game for them. It wasn't the offense that won this game. But they did have a 78-yard fumble return and then an 88-yard punt return. So Cardinals this weekend, don't have that happen. Of course, Vikings beat the Packers, as I talked about. Dalvin Cook dominated on offense. I mean, there was bad weather in this game. Aaron Rodgers couldn't complete a ball. They got to get a running game going in Green Bay if they're going to keep going. But you hit them in the mouth and you stop the running game, and the Packers will struggle, especially as the weather changes, right? Chiefs kill the Jets. We all know Adam Gase, he's not even on a hot seat. He can't even sit down on the seat. It's so hot. It's to the point now where the Jets aren't even making any adjustments. They go into the game with a crap whatever it is, play system. I don't even know. I'm like Adam Gase all of a sudden. I forgot. Their play calling, their schemes are crap when they go into the game. They come out at halftime. They stick with the same things. None of them are working. Last week they earned 4 second-half yards. Today they only yesterday the New York Jets. That was last week. Then yesterday's game, the Jets only garnered 2 first downs and went 3 and out 5 times. 63 total yards. Oh, it's an improvement. It's not 4. It's garbage. Just fold them. And I was telling everybody, Le'Veon Bell isn't going to get a lot of stuff in this Chiefs offense. They're not changing this offense for Le'Veon Bell. He's kind of like an extra person on there. He only had 6 carries for 7 yards. His longest was 4. But he did have 3 catches for 31 yards. They did bring Chad Henne into this game, though. They were up by so much. So it's interesting when they do that. Patriots, Bills. Bills are coming to Phoenix here to play the Cardinals. 2 weeks. They got the Dolphins this week and then the Bills after that. The Bills finally started running the ball a little bit. Patriots are just bad. The Patriots have no wide receivers. Everybody's injured. Cam Newton has nobody to throw to. Their running game is what it is, non-existent. Patriots are in trouble. Enjoy your bad season, Patriots. Bills, I still have no idea who the Bills are with who they're playing, but they're winning. They're winning when they need to. They're winning against the bad teams, I guess I should say, and that's how it goes. As I said, Bengals beat the Titans. Big surprise here. Cincinnati's offensive line has always been this year renowned as Joe Burrow is going to get killed behind that offensive line. They looked really good yesterday. They looked really, really good yesterday. It was impressive. I liked it a lot. Beat the Titans. Big surprise here. As I turn off my sound there. I like what the Cincinnati offensive line did yesterday. It gave Joe Burrow plenty of time to throw. And then Joe Burrow can get outside when he has to rush, and when he gets rushed and stuff. Titans had no sacks yesterday. I don't know if the Titans overlooked the Bengals or not, but it was just a disastrous showing for the Titans yesterday against the Bengals. The Bengals are going to do that this year against guys. They're going to surprise some teams, whether they're being overlooked or whatnot. The Denver Broncos did beat the Chargers yesterday, 31-30. But I mean, Drew Lock for the quarterback for the Broncos, rough season, injured for a while, but he did lead a 14-play, 81-yard play drive down the field for a game-winning touchdown. Obviously, Joey Bosa was out for that series, which helped him because he wasn't able to pass rush him, knowing they were going to pass it. He was out for a concussion evaluation. I like pressuring defensive teams. So the Broncos threw a ball into the end zone, pass interference on the Chargers. I don't remember who it was. And so they got an extra play with no time on the clock. And then they scored. Raiders, Browns. This one kind of shocked me. I thought the Browns offense would be a little bit better. I didn't expect them to be Super Bowl caliber, but I expected them to be a little bit better without OBJ. I thought the Raiders were still struggling after all that COVID stuff and all the deal there. Man, this game was a frozen fest, which even surprises me even more that the Raiders won it. And this type of weather that was up there on Lake Erie there in Cleveland. Temperatures were near freezing. There was a rain-ice mix that swirled within the stadium. Wind gusts of 40 miles per hour. This game was just a mess to play around. Couldn't really throw the ball very much. If you haven't seen it, a couple of those field goals were just amazing to watch the ball just move around. So, I mean, but it's still a surprise the Browns lost that game, especially to the Raiders who don't play in that environment, and the Browns do. So it was just interesting. As I said earlier, Phillip Rivers had a great game against the Detroit Lions. Colts defense is for real. I know they're the number one ranked defense, but I thought Matthew Stafford and those receivers were going to kind of light them up a little bit, bring them back down to earth. Nope. Colts defense is for real. Let's just be honest about it. Of course, the horrible game of the Cowboys, 23-9. Philadelphia Eagles beat the Cowboys. Let's not even talk about the East. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, I don't know what his problem is. When he gets the ball, he can't do anything with it. They need him to step up. He's getting paid as a guy to step up, especially in these situations where they have quarterback help problems. Non-existent. Zeke is completely non-existent. Cowboys had just 265 yards of offense. Of course, Philly only had 222. Difference is Philly put up 23 points. Dallas put up 9. The Eagles had 4 turnovers. 2 interceptions. 2 Carson Wentz fumbles on top of those interceptions. If you get 4 turnovers, you usually win that game. Cowboys weren't even in this. It was so bad. I mean, Amari Cooper's only caught 1 pass. He wasn't even in the playbook until the 4th quarter. Zeke, 63 yards on 19 carries. He's got a career-long 8 games without hitting 100 yards, and he's averaging a career worst 3.94 yards per carry. As I said, he got paid to be the star receiver on this, star running back on this team. He's getting paid to be the star on this offense. Dude's not even a wallflower at this point. He doesn't even get off the bus. Just disappointing for Zeke to be in that situation and dealing with all that. Just absolutely disappointing. So we kind of broke down everything. Obviously, the games yesterday, the disappointing things that we saw. I mean, Zeke continues to be a disappointment. I'm going to put together like I said, my hot seat list here this week. I want to spend some time on it. I want to put together my rookie quarterbacks, what my thoughts on them are in these first few games. Tua, I might wait till next week because I want to see Tua play the Cardinals this weekend because I'm mostly familiar with the Cardinals, obviously, on there. I want to put together most disappointing offensive players list. Obviously, I've already talked about it. Zeke, where is he? That much money, and the guy, Wallflowers, are jealous of how hidden Zeke is right now. Seriously. Non-existent. It's bad. So make my notes here. So let me know what you guys thought about this weekend, games and everything. Of course, tonight, Monday Night Football, you have Buccaneers at the Giants. I mean, everybody's anticipating the Buccaneers to go to 6-2 on the year. Starts at 6:15 now. Like I said, I think on the blender we go till 5:30 today. So as I said, I'm filling in there today again. So let me know what you guys think about, yesterday's games and even college this weekend. Absolutely. But I appreciate you guys all watching. Main Event Podcast. As I said, I'm on the blender today. I don't know how the rest of the week we'll see. We'll see if they find somebody or not. But definitely Wednesday night, 6 to 8 p.m., 1580 The Fanatic. Download the app if you're out of market or even in market. You can listen to me there. Of course, Thursday I'll be back here roughly 10 a.m. I appreciate everybody tuning in that tuned in. I know I started an hour early. Normally we go on at 1. But with my fill-in duties, I have to get done a little bit early. I'm going to head to the station right from here. Get ready for the show. Appreciate everybody tuning in at SMAC500. And then, of course, at the Main Event Pods where I do the show notes. Other stories while I'm not on air. Things that interest me. So definitely give that a follow. Subscribe to the Gestalt Production YouTube page for the Cardinals Rewind as well as racing videos and the nature videos coming up. And definitely look into Gestalt Production. Anybody needing some production work? If you want to get into podcasting, definitely send me a message at any of the sites there. Email me. I can get you into it. I have all the setup, obviously. We can get you started on it. Whatever you want to talk about. Movies, TV shows. It's always a good time. But I appreciate everybody tuning in. Of course, I'm going to do the preview on the Cardinals Rewind this week, the Dolphins game. Check out last week's where I talk about the win over the Seahawks last time. Break down that a little bit. It was fun just doing one podcast on a game. It was fun to do. And this week we're going to preview the Dolphins. I got a lot to preview with that game yesterday with Tua's first game and how well that Dolphins defense played. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. See you guys Wednesday night, Thursday. See you guys all later.